Video 2 from May 5th, 2025. I think I left off somewhere around Brian Dutton having to deal with Leah Lacy, you know, these people related to her. Alright, so it turns out that this Brian Dutton here, who was CRO of Assured Data Protection, which I'd encourage everyone to check out all this information. He was friends with Dean Archambault of Wakefield, Massachusetts, who is a Massachusetts state representative. Okay, so this isn't even just from a Connecticut standpoint anymore. I think this could be a Democratic standpoint, and what better place to do it than right now? You know, I'm a Republican. Didn't vote this last year, like I previously stated in the videos, for my own reasons. It's not because I don't believe in Donald Trump, but this is going to be a very trying time, not just for me, and people need to realize that, okay? But anyways, Dean Archambault, Massachusetts State Representative, licensed and certified in artificial intelligence infrastructure. All right, and operation fundamentals. That's very important. He's a very important player in all of this and what's been going down. He's worked at Hewlett Packard. Okay, he has something to do with Nebius. I think he might have even invented it himself. It's described as an ultimate cloud for AI explorers. And he relates a lot, you know, to these three people: Dean Archambault, Brian Dutton, and Hillary Dutton. These are three important people. One of which, Hillary Dutton, this is how it gets played into my family. Hillary Dutton is friends with Patricia Berdnick, which was my biological mother's sister, I believe. And this woman has been manipulating me for a while, come to find out. And like I told her today, I can't talk to her anymore, because it's very clear she's like everyone, like I said, is watching out for you and yours, you know. She's watching out for herself. She's watching out for her husband. Up to this point, it was my Uncle Stan. He's had a very rough time with surgeries and stuff like that, so they're on the line for what people need to realize. There's a lot of things involved here, medically, from medical issues to real estate, to even the guy previously mentioned, Stephen Moreau Tomczak, Tomczak. Okay, I'll get into that in just a second. Actually, I don't think I covered that yet. But people need to. So in relation to this first girl who was suspiciously, I believe, took my underpants for my DNA. Okay, because she even expressed previously that she was trying to get into the FBI and filled out a form with them. You know, there's just too many facts like this. Facts that are just adding up, and they're taking me for a fool. But really, you know, I'm just a quiet guy. I have been in the past, but I pay attention, right? And this might be, and I realize it's a flaw even saying this right now, because this might be a part of my prosecution. And at this point, I'm willing to, like I said previously, pay for my wrongdoings in any way I have to. But I just hope I get a chance to be honest with everyone at this point. Alright, so we left off at Dean Archambault. So check out these three guys related to Leah Lacy of Benjamin Way, who's for some reason it was in the same house as these three people. Hillary Dutton, 34 years old, grew up a couple houses down from a guy I grew up with, so she knows all about me. Joe Neary was his name, I grew up with him. They know all about me, okay? Joe Neary was a guy who's involved in a lot of this money market stuff, Aetna, Cigna, stuff like that. He's there and he's trying to keep going. A lot of people have things that they can advance themselves off by condemning me right now, and I hope people realize that. But it's no coincidence that Hillary Dutton and Leah Lacey are described at the same address, 39 Benjamin Way, South Windsor, Connecticut. Okay? Which is only a few houses down from this guy, Joe Neary, who knew me growing up since elementary school. And then, now come to find out, like I mentioned with Hanwha Aerospace, they got Julie Neary, his sister, who's... I always liked the Nearys up until I put everything together, but I realized that she was always acting real weird. And now I'm starting to see why. Because she's another person who, up until she started to be a QC manager, she was supposedly, all I heard was she worked at 7-Eleven or something like that. So she's a person who's herself advancing quite a bit, you know. But enough about that. Alright, so Hillary Dutton, Brian Dutton of Assured Data Protection, and Dean Archambault of Wakefield, Massachusetts, a Massachusetts state representative involved in artificial intelligence, infrastructure, and computers. Alright, so we'll move on to the second person who was standing watch. It was going to be Leah Lacey, Tom, Sebastian, my nephew, and his other friend there. I forgot his first name, but I know his last name was Tomziak, because it got so fishy I started questioning him. But how do you spell that last name? It's Tomczak. Okay? And I just started doing this because, as I'm finding out, there's a lot of, as I first thought, there's a lot of people involved with the aerospace industry. There's a lot of people in that aerospace industry, you know, carries over to the defense industry, okay? And that's why I'm hoping right now this is just a Connecticut thing and not a United States thing. But I'm just going to provide all this information. And once again, we're going to 15 minutes, and I'm going to make multiple videos because it's a lot of information. So Tomziak, you know, at first this all started out with Peter Tomziak, who was this guy's grandpa, he said. He's a business unit manager for CT Tool and Manufacturing, which seems like just at first glance, you know, a regular little manufacturing joint. But it's at 35 Corporate Ave. I forgot exactly, somewhere around Cromwell, Connecticut. Cromwell, Connecticut plays a big part in this story too. But this business, come to find out, is owned by the Secretary of State of the state. Secretary of State. All right. Also in that building, Dell Manufacturing. They develop aircraft engines and engine parts, but I wouldn't even be surprised if there might be a couple computer chips in there at this point. All in the same building. You got CT Tool and Manufacturing and Dell Manufacturing. That plays in, as I'll go into in more videos, with my family and my work environment and stuff like that. Next person is Jessica Tomziak. She's a McKay Shields leader and she works for McKay Shields. Specialty and leader in specialty fixed income. Okay? That's going to be very important as far as my situation, why I'm destroying this house. Okay? Stephen Moreau Tomziak, which is another very big name in all of this. He's a professor of social work at the University of Southern Connecticut. Alright? He's been there for 20 years. He's got an extensive background in social work, education, research, especially in the area of social welfare and poverty, which comes to be what my sister has been going through for quite a while with 2 kids, and I've always wondered why everyone's giving me all these items and not her. You know, he's a PhD at Heller School. You know, but right now the very interesting thing is he stands a chance to be nominated for a Community Action Agency of New Haven. All right. He's in control of, or at least knows who to contact to control energy assistance, case management, stuff like that. People who are low income, like either I'm about to be or my sister has been for years, and she hasn't been able to get help, even though her son's best friend is this guy. Another thing he's very closely connected with is a program called SMART. Alright, it's a single mother's actively reaching out. My sister. Alright? Working across all sectors and municipalities, collaborates with research institutions and stuff like that. They're the ones able to help out single mothers. And this is how the system is playing us as Americans. Alright? Because they're using these little things. And people need to realize that. Alright? Another very interesting part in this is 275 Diane Drive, South Windsor, Connecticut. Okay? This address is related to Ben, and of course, I'm originally from South Windsor, Connecticut. Alright? South Windsor is only a few miles away from where I currently live in East Hartford, Connecticut. Within a 10-mile radius. I worked in East Windsor, Connecticut, with just about 13 miles or so. All three of these towns are very close together. And I feel like they've been working against me. Alright? This next person, who's a Tomziak, or however you pronounce it, Benjamin Tomziak. He's a younger guy, financial planner he's got quite a big, extensive history as well, but financial planner for Prudco Securities and Prudential Financial. Alright, Prudco, and they're also located in New Jersey, alright? I believe his mother, or at least relative, is Bonnie Tomzak. She's a very important person for Roth Financial Group, which is going to be a very important part of the story, because that woman who I previously mentioned, Patricia Berdnick, has a son, Stan Berdnick, who is involved with these big, things just like Roth Financial. He's worked in New York City. We're living in New Jersey now. My aunt always flaunts how she gets to rub shoulders with the best of them, because he lives not too far from Keith Richards, I think, one of his houses. So he's got money. And this is how people are trying to take care of them and theirs. Alright, next Tomziak. Bridget Tomziak, personal banker, the State Bank and Trust Company. Alright? I think she was also tied to that address, 275 Diane Drive. A lot of bankers, a lot of realtors, a lot of people, But where this got very interesting with 275 Diane Drive is a guy named Thomas Reichard. I know nothing about this guy simply by the fact that we played football together for 1 year in high school. But I thought that was pretty convenient, all these connections that I'm making between the system that's been set up I work at Hanwha Aerospace in relation to all these connections and with banking and stuff like that. Alright? So this is where this story took a really sharp turn for me, because up until this point I thought I've been keeping track of Hanwha Aerospace, because people have been trying to weed me out of there to a point where I had to go in there and start recording myself for the sake of having a little bit of evidence. And like I said in the previous videos, I went to them after a while. I got the book here, actually, since I got this evidence. Just let me look it up for you. And just to compare, because it's a lot of information and it's easy to get lost in all this stuff. Alright, so I think I talked initially HR got a quick minute here before I have to go on to the next video. Then we'll start off at my very interesting time at Hanwha Aerospace and how this is involved, unfortunately, with a lot of dedicated military people. And I'm hoping it doesn't go into the federal government that way, but a lot of people in the involved with the military who I'm sure served honorably for a long time, better than I did. And like I previously stated, it's something I wish I could have done better, and it's one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life. And I'm ashamed of it, and I'm not afraid to say that these are better people than me in that regard, 100%. They served this country, and and hats off to them. But we'll get into this next video soon. Thank you.